All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream, and thank you for being here. Okay? Today our topic is how to not get deported. Okay, and I want to talk that through. And so welcome. Thank you for being here. And remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. And today our theme is how to not get deported, how to avoid getting deported. And so welcome and thank you for joining. And as always, are you in a situation where you're thinking of applying for immigration status, where you're looking for options on how to change your immigration status? Because if so, I'd love to help you, all right, in any way that I can. And we're here to do that. And so thank you, and thank you for tuning in right now to the Empowered Immigrant Live, all right? And I'm really grateful to be here with you. And the news that we're watching is crazy, right? Trump has selected Tom Homan to become his border czar, all right? And if you're not aware, Mr. Homan led ICE under the first Trump administration, and Mr. Homan has said that he is serious about carrying out, quote, the largest deportation operation in the nation's history. All right? And Trump has also said that he will, quote, declare a state of emergency so that he will be enabled to use the U.S. military to help in his mass deportation operation, which is very scary. And for me, it's wrong on so many levels, right? It's like, ooh, we're heading in the wrong direction. Wrong direction. Let's do a 180 on that one. Let's go the opposite. Let's become a society that welcomes people, not deports them, right? Let's love our neighbors, not reject them and exclude them and deport them. That's my own crazy philosophy. Imagine, right? Imagine a world that we actually valued the people that we come to know and appreciate, right? The people in our midst. So anyway, the news is scary. It's crazy. And I want to help prepare folks, and I want to share with people what you can do, all right? Like how you can prevent your deportation when possible. What legal actions can you put in place to maximize your chances of avoiding all of this, okay? And so that's what I'm here to discuss. First of all, every immigrant, you need to know your plans, and you need to know your rights, all right? You got to know your rights. The government has more ability to detain and deport people within 50 miles of any border, okay, and at any airport. And so any immigrant, even if you've got perfectly issued green cards, right? You want to make sure you're traveling with your original passports, original green cards, visas, approval notices, right? If you were ever in immigration court in the past, make sure you're traveling with the judge's orders saying that your case was taken care of, that your case was terminated in immigration court. If you have a criminal record, make sure you're traveling with original certified records of conviction and talk it through with an immigration attorney. Even if you have a green card, talk it through with an immigration attorney before you travel, because the government's going to be more strict. All right, you got to know that. You got to be aware of that. And everybody, you got to know your rights. you've got the right to remain silent. All right? The right to remain silent is in the United States Constitution, and it applies to all people. It doesn't just apply to citizens. It applies to all people in the United States. All right? Everyone has the right to remain silent issued by the United States Constitution. It is law that is superior to the president. Okay? That right comes into play if immigration comes looking for someone. So that if they come and if they knock on the door, and if they say, hey, what's your name? You don't have to answer them. Okay? You can say, officer, sorry. Well, first of all, if they come and knock on the door, you don't have to answer the door, period. Oh, well, what if they have a warrant? Let me give you some insider knowledge here, all right? Let me give you some insider knowledge. First of all, immigration never has a warrant, all right? I've been practicing immigration law since 2011, and I have not once seen immigration officers first go to a federal judge and request a warrant to make an immigration arrest. I have seen immigration officers lie to people saying that they have a warrant. I've seen immigration officers submit a document under a door suggesting that they have a warrant, and that warrant is not signed by a judge. It's not actually an executable warrant. Okay? Like, immigration officers do that. I've seen it. And let me share something else with you. If an officer says that they have a warrant, they're probably lying, because when an immigration officer gets a warrant, they probably won't knock the door anyway. If immigration has a warrant to enter a house, they will beat the door down and enter with guns drawn. Okay, does that make sense? Like, they're not going to have I promise you, 99.99% of the time, they simply won't have a warrant. But they will knock and or bang on the door, and it might be at 3 in the morning. And when that happens, do not answer it. All right? If they enter your house without a warrant, then they have violated one of your constitutional rights. All right? But if you open the door and say, hello, officer, nice to meet you, good morning, now they can come in because you've opened the door for them. You got to be aware of that. Okay? You have the right to not answer the door. You also have the right, so what if you're not in your house, right? So what if you're like in your car and you're pulled over? Well, there it's you have to be ready to remain silent. Like, hey, what's your name? Hey, show me your papers. Hey, where are you from? Good morning, officer. Nice to meet you. And I'm sorry, I prefer to remain silent. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be, like, if the officer is going to be aggressive, hey, that's on them, right? The more they violate your rights, the better of a case you'll have. All right? So if the officer is aggressive and says, oh, I'm arresting you right now, great. Handcuff me, arrest me, whatever. I'm going to fight my case. Let me talk to my attorney, and I'm not answering a single question. I prefer to remain silent. That's it. Okay? Show me your papers. Show me your papers. Sorry, officer, I prefer not to. I prefer to remain silent in all aspects. I'd like to speak with my lawyer. You have the right to do that. Every person has the right to do that. People have the right to challenge arrests, even in immigration court. You have the right to suppress evidence, even in immigration court, when an arrest is unlawful. And so these are things that it's important that people know that, right? Especially given what is happening. Now, I foresee that our next president and his kind of mission here about immigration, I foresee that they're not going to respect people's rights. I foresee that they're not going to respect people's rights to due process. that they're not going to respect people's rights to remain silent or their rights to not answer the door. And we want to challenge those cases in court. Okay, so if you're, anyway, the way to challenge those cases in court, though, require that people know their rights and exert them and say, no, sorry, officer, I choose to remain silent. No, sorry, officer, I choose not to open my door, right? Or just don't even answer when the door gets knocked, right? Anyway, hope those things are helpful pieces of advice. The next thing to know is you got to know your options, all right? If you're just tuning in right now, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Like, I really, thank you so much for being here. Our office's phone is ringing off the hook right now. A lot of people are worried, nervous, looking for legal advice, looking for legal representation. And so if you're in that situation, like pick up the phone, right? Pick up the phone. Let's schedule a consultation because this week is already completely booked. Next week is, I think, already completely booked. So we're trying to manage the quantity of calls that we're getting right now. It's just something to be aware of, right? Our office is not alone there, right? Other lawyers, it's like the good lawyers, our phones are ringing. So you want to not wait, right? All right, so anyway, we've talked about the news. We've talked about knowing your rights, very important. You also need to be aware of your options, all right? Like, how do you not get deported, all right? A lot of it depends on your particular situation, and that's what a consult, really discusses, okay? But so what is your particular situation? For example, if you already have a removal order, right? If you already lost a case in immigration court for whatever reason, how do you avoid your deportation now? The way is, the primary way is to file a motion to reopen your old case and to do that now, okay? And so anybody that's listening with an old deportation order, the question is, can we file a motion to reopen that case so that you can fight your case again in front of the judge and not be subject to a live deportation order? Okay? So that's motions to reopen is a very important topic, right, to discuss. I'll be doing presentations about them, on this very same podcast and live show, all right? Other options: asylum, withholding of removal, relief under the Convention Against Torture, all right? So if you're not in immigration court, if you've never fought an asylum claim before, sometimes even if you have fought an asylum claim before but you lost and now there's a change in circumstances, you can do a motion to reopen and fight that case again. All right? Big if, though, is if there is a change in circumstances, right? Anyway, if you've never been in immigration court, though, asylum, withholding of removal, relief under the Convention Against Torture is an important option. You can't get deported if you're facing death, violence, persecution, torture in your home country, and we can fight those cases, right? You got to convince a judge that you're eligible for that. It's not easy to do, all right? But it's still an option, okay? Another option is VAWA cases. If you're married to a U.S. citizen or have a U.S. citizen child who's over 21 who lives with you, and if in your relationship you've ever been the victim of abuse, domestic violence, extreme cruelty of any kind, you can be eligible for VAWA, all right? U visas and T visas are options, all right? They take a long time, but they are options for people, okay? For people who have been the victims of certain crimes in the United States. Another option is family-based immigration, All right. And so if you are married to a U.S. citizen, or if you have a close immediate family member who wants to petition for you, that is an option. All right. If you're thinking of getting married, if you're in love and you're thinking of getting married, it might be a good time to get married. Don't rush marriage. All right. Don't just get married for immigration purposes. Hear me. Don't just get married for immigration purposes. That causes a horrible set of other issues. All right. But if you sincerely have a relationship that we can show and demonstrate is in quote unquote good faith because you love each other and you actually want to form a life together and you've just been putting off getting married for whatever reason, it might be a good time to get married. You could have a family-based case, possibly, right? Another option is cancellation of removal and applications in front of immigration judges. And another option is motions to suppress, which that's the option that I started with, when immigration violates your constitutional rights. All right, motions to suppress, motions to terminate, and as I mentioned, motions to reopen. Okay, those are the options. There's family-based options of a different sort when you have a family member who's in the military. So talk about that also. Anyway, who is most at risk? All right, I've been getting this call a lot. Hey, am I at risk? You know, I had one DUI in the past. Am I, you know, Trump's talking about deporting all the criminals. Am I at risk? So let me share who, in my opinion, is most at risk. You ready for this? All right. The people who are the easiest for the government to deport are people with outstanding removal orders already. Okay? So these people, there's over 1 million of them. I've got, some of them are my clients. All right? If you've got an outstanding removal order already, like you fought a case and your case was denied, and now you're appealing, or maybe your appeal was denied, and now you've got a final order. In my opinion, those are the people with the most urgency. Okay? Talk to an immigration lawyer now. Let's figure out if we can prepare a motion to reopen now, or let's figure out if there's some other option. U visa, T visa, some other option. And let's not delay on that. All right? Because I think those people have the highest risk. Okay? The other people who are at risk, in my opinion, are recent arrivals. All right? Because expedited removal is like, you know, the regulations can possibly be expanded. All right? They can possibly be expanded to include people that have arrived within the last 2 years. Okay? And so there it's like keep some kind of evidence that you've been here longer than that. Right? If you're not subject, you know, if you've been here for 10 years, get some evidence that you've paid your taxes that long. Keep some evidence that you are not subject to expedited removal. You want to fight your case in court. Okay? The third subset of people who, in my opinion, are at the highest risk is anyone who's actually in custody of any kind. Right? That might be ankle monitors. Right? It might be if you're in county jail right now. You know, you want to be very cautious about any type of custody situation, right? Because those will be very easy for ICE to just detain people, right? Some other subsets, you know, people who have applied for benefits in the past but had them denied could also be at risk, especially if there's a criminal record. All right? And then really anyone who is here without a current status, right? There is some risk. And so that's that. And so what do you got to know? All right? What do you got to know? Like if you're in the US and you're undocumented, or if you have overstayed your visa, or if you've got some kind of irregular immigration status of some kind, like, you got to know your options and you got to be really clear on your situation. Run your FOIAs. If you don't have your FOIAs already, now's the time to get them because you want to be very clear on what your options would be, right? Get a consultation, you know. you want to run FOIAs to see, is there an outstanding removal order already? Is there a deportation order already against you? Maybe from one time when you were crossing the border 10 years ago or something. Like, you want to be clear about that because that puts you at a higher risk, right? You want to know whether or not you're on immigration's radar. FOIAs can help with that as well, okay? You want to know what your options are. Asylum, cancellation of removal, VAWA, U visas, T visas, motions to suppress, etc. And you want to know what your game plan would be. You want to have a plan. Okay? The last thing that I want to say today before we jump into your questions. If you've got questions, feel free to send them. All right? I'm here to help. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. The other thing that I'll say, though, is if you're thinking of filing a case, under the first Trump administration, many applications were getting rejected, all right, sometimes for no reason. And so in my opinion, if you're thinking of filing a case, you're wise to file it now, all right? You're wise to file it before, there's a change in leadership so that you have receipt notices, so that you can take advantage of the regulations we have in place now before those regulations change. Because a change in regulations, in theory, if they change the law against us, that could affect eligibility for the future. All right, it's wise to get a case on file now if you're eligible for that. All right, at the very least, talk with a lawyer to see whether or not you have a case worth submitting now. Okay, does that make sense? That's basically all I've got for today. So let me, we've been getting some questions. Let me do my best to answer them. So Alec B., I see you. Good afternoon. Thank you. Makan, I see you here. Thank you. You say, does a motion to reopen and dismiss guarantee after DHS agreed to join the motion to reopen? Well, no, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it's really good, all right? If DHS has agreed to join a motion to reopen and dismiss, then what that means is you will not have a deportation order against you, all right? And so what that means is that if immigration wants to go through a process and deport you in the future, okay, they've got to refile a notice to appear. They've got to re-NTA you. And if that happens, you have a whole new fight that you can fight your case again. Okay? But if the judge agrees to dismiss your case, then there's no deportation order entered, which is so much better, right? That's a good strategy, Makan. So thank you for asking that question. All right? Orlando, I see you there. Good morning, sir. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. All right, Alec B., I see you here. If an IJ, immigration judge, approves an asylum application, is it a legal status, or is there the need to apply for LPR, and how long does that take after an asylum approval? All right, great question, Alec B., thank you for asking it. If you were granted asylum by an immigration judge, you are no longer deportable. All right, you have won. I'll repeat that. If you have won an asylum claim in front of an immigration judge, you are no longer deportable. You have lawful status in the U.S., all right? So that is a beautiful situation to be in. The government, if they want to deport a person in that situation, they have to refile new allegations saying and alleging that someone has terminated, that somebody's asylum status ought to be terminated because they violated the terms of their asylum status in some way. Okay, they committed a particularly serious crime, or there was fraud in the asylum, or they went back to their home country, or some other reason. Okay? Not just returning to their home country, they availed themselves of the protections of their country, right? Basically relinquishing asylum. And so those things, anyway. And to the second part of your question is, when you win asylum, you can apply for your green card. They can't approve it until after 1 year in asylum status, but you can already apply for your adjustment of status. Okay? So I hope that's helpful. If anybody's in that situation, I'd love to help you, by the way. We love those cases, winning green cards for asylees. We do it a lot. All right, DJ here on Instagram, I see you here. What if someone overstays their ESTA and they end up getting married? Is it adjustment of status, or does the person have to go back to their home country first and apply from there to return? Okay, thank you for asking this question. ESTA has limited rights. Okay, ESTA has limited rights, but the law is clear in the Ninth Circuit. All right, if a person is on ESTA and if they're an immediate relative, if they're married to a U.S. citizen, you can adjust your status here in the U.S. I hope that Trump doesn't change that. All right, but under current law, my office has won this for a lot of people that came in on ESTA. It is possible to win. The problem, though, is if your case is denied, you can't fight your case in court. Because if you're on ESTA, you're not given the rights to be NTA'd and to fight your deportation case in front of a judge. So in that situation, you'd have to go back and consular process. But if you are married to a U.S. citizen, you have a case. All right, you have a case. I'd love to help you with that case. All right, I hope that was helpful. Thank you for asking that question. All right, so let's see, who else has asked questions here? We do have some other ones. Ahava Yosef, I see you here. I love the depth of knowledge. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. All right. Amit, I see you here. I live in Trinidad. Can't wait to move to another Caribbean island. LOL. Okay. All right. Very good. Ahava, I see you there. I came to the U.S. legally with a 5-year B1, B2 visa last year. It's 6 months in and 6 months out, but I have overstayed my visa and I'm currently married to a citizen of the United States. All right? Okay. So, Ahava, thank you for explaining that. Thank you for saying that. You're not alone in your situation. And so, you've overstayed your visa. The way to fix it is to file for your adjustment of status. And the fact that you've overstayed your visa, as long as your spouse is a U.S. citizen, that can be forgiven. All right? It gets wiped away. That's one of the benefits of being in a relationship with a quote-unquote immediate relative, like a U.S. citizen spouse. Okay? And so that is a very fixable and a very winnable case. And yeah, you should have the right to file your case. And if my office can help you with it, we'd love to help you with it. Okay? Rekhab Patel, great to see you here. Thank you so much. How long does it take for a BIA's motion to reopen with an I-130 approved already? You know, I don't know, to be honest, how long BIA motions to reopen are taking right now. We've had mixed experiences. You know, certain BIA judges go much quicker with them, and others of them are more complicated and take a lot longer in terms of timing. The other question is our only argument to reopen based on the I-130 approval, or is there some other argument, right? Like, could you also argue that there was a problem in your original case, that, you know, there were facts that were missed, or the original attorney messed up, or there was some other issue that may have happened? Because if that's the situation, that gives you an additional argument that could help increase your chances of winning your motion to reopen in front of the BIA. Does that make sense? I hope that's helpful. All right? I hope that's helpful. You know, and if it's just based on the I-130, you know, 7 months, something like that, was the last motion to reopen we submitted to the BIA. They can go much quicker in front of the IJ, but BIA motions to reopen, I think, take quite a bit longer. All right, so Happiest, I see you here. Can one renew a green card that doesn't have an expiration date? 100% you can. All right, in fact, you ought to. It's good advice to renew that type of green card. In the old days, right, the original green cards did not have expiration dates. And, you know, my office has seen this, and yes, it's a good practice to renew that type of green card, especially before traveling. All right, because Border Patrol doesn't like those old green cards anymore. All right, hope that's helpful. So, Malin Sunik, I see you here. Thank you. Thank you for asking your question. You say, my partner had a case since he was a minor, but he went back to Guatemala due to an emergency. Can he come back? Really good question. Really good question. That requires a lot of analysis. All right? For example, we've got to know if when he left the U.S., did he trigger the 10-year bar? He probably did. All right? If he had more than a year of unlawful presence and then left, then he probably triggered the 10-year bar. And if he left while he was still a minor, then he did not have more than a year of unlawful presence. So we got to look at the precise date that he left the U.S. And you say he's your partner, do you mean you're in love with him and thinking of marrying him? Because if that's true, go get married and then file a case for him, right? If you're a U.S. citizen or if you're a green card holder. Don't do that if you're not, right? Talk it through. My best advice, Marlene, you're asking a great question. Talk to a lawyer first, all right? Have a consultation. Talk to a lawyer first. Feel free to give our office a call. We'd love to help if that, if we can help you. All right, so Jason, will I get deported if my VAWA petition is pending? VAWA is good law. All right, VAWA is good law. So if somebody's eligible for VAWA, I would recommend applying for VAWA even under the current situation. All right, so the question really is, how good is your VAWA case? Let's make it as strong as possible so that it gives you a green card. Okay, and so will I get deported if my VAWA petition is pending? If they deny your VAWA case and if you have a criminal record, then I would say be careful. All right, does that make sense? All right, and otherwise, I would say no. You've got a good. I would say I wouldn't withhold your VAWA case or withdraw your VAWA case. No, fight that thing through and win it, so that you can get a green card and you can move on with your life. And as long as it's done well, and as long as you're eligible and all that stuff, no, that's a great. I would recommend that as a strategy. Okay. So let's see. So Maria. Lourdes, I see you here. You say, hi, when I came in, I had a B1 visa, been 21 years in America without papers, and what can I do so I'm not deported? I'm working now. I'm 66 years old. Please help me what to do. So let's talk it through. All right, let's talk it through. Like, do you, where are you from? Do you have any fear of returning to your country? Is there any argument for asylum? Have you ever been in immigration court before? Have you ever run FOIAs to request all your records? Are you married to a U.S. citizen? Are you married to anybody with any immigration case? Do you have children who are over 21 who might be able to petition for you? Do you have any children with any medical issues or hardship of any kind that we could file cancellation? Like, let's talk through all the options and figure out what we can do to help you. All right, so my best advice, Maria, is don't panic, but take action. Let's have a consultation. Let's talk it through. Let's get to the bottom of what your options are so that we can defend you. All right? Joel, I see you here. Will someone get deported if he has a pending case like VAWA? Well, what do you mean like VAWA? All right? So, we don't know how insane it's really going to get under Trump, but all the news is like it's going to be pretty insane. All right? It's going to be pretty horrible. And so let's do what we can to strategize it. If somebody's eligible for VAWA, I would recommend applying for VAWA. That's good law. All right? That's not a government program that can easily be repealed. You want to repeal, if Trump wants to repeal VAWA, he would have to have both sides of Congress in agreement to change the law, and that takes months and years if they can even do it. Okay? Now, we'll see about that, right? Because he will actually have the support of both houses of Congress. So that's scary, and they could change laws, all right? And they could change laws against us. But so much better to have applied for a benefit before a change in the law happens, because in all likelihood, they'll make things better. Or sorry, in all likelihood, if they make things worse, it won't be retroactive. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see. Rainey's reality. Can a brother or sister file for a sibling living in the United States? Yes, sort of. Yes, sort of, but it takes so long it's almost useless. All right, sibling petitions are frustrating. Yes, you can file the petition. Yes, it's a good idea to file a petition to at least have something pending, but it doesn't protect someone from deportation, right? It's something that someone in theory could use 20 years in the future, depending on your country, right? So sibling petitions, I mean, I still see some value in filing them, but it's minimal. It's a low value petition, okay? Because it takes so long. It will be valuable in the future, right? But it's a long-term strategy, okay? Let's see. How am I doing on time? I've got 7 minutes. I'll do my best to answer the rest of the questions that I can. So let's see. Emi Kahi, I see you there. How long does it take to get a work permit once they approve your case? My case was through VAWA. Well, they approved your case already, so that's good. All right, congratulations on that. How long will the work permit take? You know, in our firm, we submit a work permit request right along with your VAWA. All right? I have still seen it, though, in fairness. I have still seen it, though, that they don't approve the work permit right away, but it typically, shouldn't take too much longer, all right, after your VAWA is approved. If your case was not, if it didn't include a work permit when you originally filed, I would say 6 months, common processing time right now for VAWA-based work permits. All right, start like this. I see your question here. What about pending asylum applications? Should we file a mandamus lawsuit? We've been waiting almost 8 years. All the info's up to date. So yeah, you have the right to file a mandamus lawsuit. And the question is, do you want to? Right? The question is always, do you want to? Cost-benefit analysis, right? Mandamus lawsuits take a lot of work, take a lot of time, have a cost related to them, and it'll get you a result on your asylum application quicker. If you've got a strong application for asylum, heck, you could win your case sooner. All right? In that case, yeah, push it. Right? It's probably just going to get, like, asylum laws are probably just going to get worse under the Trump administration, so maybe there is benefit in pushing your case now. All right? On the other hand, if you don't have a very strong asylum application, maybe you're one of the people that might just stay protected by asylum. Nobody can deport you if you have a pending asylum application in front of the asylum office until a judge reviews it under current law. All right? And so, anyway, if you want to talk that through, feel free to call our office. We can do a consultation. We can talk that through. Okay? Maria Lourdes, I see you say, no, I don't have any of those different options that you said. I thank you for saying that. I still highly recommend having a consult with an attorney to go do, even if one attorney said, no, there's no options, like, let's go 3 levels deeper. And let's see if there, if the answer is no, there's nothing, then the answer is no, there's nothing. But let's not just base it on a quick YouTube chat, right? Let's really go in as much depth as we can to see what options there are. Okay? Create our game plan. So Malene, I see you. I'm a U.S. citizen. We have a daughter together. Awesome. That makes your case and your argument stronger. All right? Rekab, thank you. Thank you for being here. Rosa, I see you. I have deportation, but my son's in the military. Is that good for me or not? Yes, that's good for you, and you should talk to a lawyer now about possibly reopening your deportation case, right? Because, or at the very least, filing your parole in place application through your son, or both. Like, you're in a situation where anybody that has a deportation order right now, time to move, right? Time to pick up the phone, get in action. Because that's a winnable one. You have a winnable situation. You have a fixable situation, I believe, because your son's in the military. Now we just got to go through the action of fixing it. Okay. All right. Adriano, I see you here. I applied for asylum September 5th. 150 days will be on February 12th, 2025. Can I apply for an EAD? Under current law, yes. All right, we're going to see if the Trump administration tries to make people delay 1 year before applying for an EAD. We're going to see what happens about asylum-based EADs, but under current law, yes, and you should be ready to apply on the date that you're eligible to apply. Okay? 150 days. Be ready, have that application done, signed, sealed, in an envelope, ready to go. Because you want to get that thing approved before it gets, before any laws change. All right? Carlos, I just got married. Can I apply right away? If you're eligible for a marriage-based green card, yes, you're eligible. All right? Talk it through with a lawyer first, though, to make sure you're eligible, to make sure you have a winnable case. All right, Bajwasab. I see you here. How long does it take for an I-360 to be approved through guardianship? You mean through SIJS, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status? So that's a good question. That's a good question. We've seen them coming through fast right now, actually. 6 months or less. Okay. And so if that's the type of case, I think it is. So user, will I get deported if I'm waiting for an adjustment of status waiting period? What do you mean the adjustment of status waiting period? You mean you've already filed for adjustment of status? I mean, if you're eligible for adjustment of status, no, you have a good case. That's good law. All right, your case is based on marriage to a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen has the right to file a petition for a non-citizen spouse. And so that's based on good law. It's in the Immigration Nationality Act. If Trump wants to change it, he can try. It'll require two sides of Congress in getting an agreement before any change in the law, which takes months and months. All right? So it's like that's a good case. You should file that case. All right? Adriano, I answered your question. Happiest, afraid to ask for a background check from DOJ. I feel like I'm raising my hand. Please advise. Do it with a lawyer. Best advice is to do it with a lawyer, and when you're putting information on the DOJ background check, you put confidential address. All right? You don't put your information. You have the information go straight to your lawyer's office. It's one of the benefits of working with a lawyer, right? We protect you. All right? Because we request your records. You can request these records even if you're outside the country, even if you're anywhere. All right? When you do it through a lawyer. So just something to think about. All right. I think I've answered all the questions. I think I have. I see more questions coming in. I don't think I'll be able to. Let's see. LT, I see you here on TikTok. So my son's turning 21 this June. Would it be okay to file? Possibly, right? Possibly. Let's do a consultation. Let's talk that through. Let's get that case ready. All right? DJ, I see you here on Instagram. Yes, I answered your question already. Your answer is, if you're on ESTA, all right? Yes, you can file a marriage-based green card adjustment of status if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Should I repeat that again? If you're on ESTA, you entered on the visa waiver program, all right, through ESTA, the Electronic Surveillance Travel Authorization, whatever it stands for. I think that's what it stands for. Then you are eligible to apply for a marriage-based green card if you're married to a U.S. citizen. If you're not married to a U.S. citizen, though, you'll have limited rights because ESTA has limited rights. You can't renew that type of a case in front of an immigration judge. You've got to win it, all right? You've got to win it in front of USCIS. You reside in Florida. Can I still call for a consultation? Absolutely, all right? My office is based in Oakland, California, but we have clients throughout the United States. Feel free to give us a call, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. There is like so much just like, people are nervous. Can you feel it? Like I'm nervous, all right? People are worried. People are anxious. Like what is going to happen, all right? Everything that's happening in the news is like the president that's about to come into power, in my opinion, is insane. All right? It's like he needs a mental health evaluation. He's going to declare a state of emergency. Where's the emergency? He's going to declare a state of emergency and have the military be involved in like a mass deportation. Why do we need to deport people? Why? Right? People are like good. Right? The immigrants that I work with, that I meet with every day, I don't think Donald Trump has had an actual conversation with any of them. All right? Be nice to be a billionaire where you grow up and you're just like completely pampered by servants. Little does he know that half of the people that work in all of his freaking hotels are immigrants. right? I think he's a lunatic. And he's making decisions that are unwise without like really thinking them through. Like I think it's just political madness. The people that I know, which I've been doing this since 2011, I've been doing this. I've never met an immigrant who wasn't like at least some kind of amazing. Every person that I've met has some kind of value, right? They like there's something remarkable that they've overcome in their life. And it's like if the president of the United States doesn't see that and doesn't get that, that's his problem. All right? And unfortunately, he's making it all of our problem. I want to be able to change people's minds. I want to be able to open people's minds and show them, dude, if you're going to deport everybody, that's on you. That's your conscience, but you're deporting great people. All right? And like you're deporting some of the greatest contributions to our society. You're just going to make our society worse. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Anyway, for me, it's like it's a sad state of affairs, right? It's really a sad state of affairs. Everybody's nervous. What can we say about being nervous? All right? It's like, take a deep breath. Focus on the actions that we can take. All right? We don't know exactly what's going to happen. The future is out of our control. But we can control the present. We control how we show up. Hey, let's still smile and look each other in the eye and greet each other and be humane with each other, even if we have leadership who are not. Right? Let's take a deep breath. Let's still be humane, because we have the power to do that. Right? And what actions can you take? Well, I mean, if you're in a situation where you need immigration legal advice, pick up the phone, schedule an appointment, talk it through so that we can give you good advice. All right, can you call a second lawyer or a third lawyer if your first two couldn't find an option? Yes, you can. You can do that. All right, you want to fully see, you want to fully understand what the situation is, what your options are. All right, and that's really what I got. That's really what I got today. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. All right, if I didn't get to your question today, I'm sorry. There was a lot, right? There was a lot today. So thank you for being here. I hope it's useful. I hope it's helpful. My office is here to empower immigrants, even through like a disempowering time. And how do we do that? How do we do that? I'm discovering it. How can I be more useful in this? It's like, well, I'm going to be fighting my cases one case at a time. I'm going to empower my team to do an outstanding job to maximize our clients' chances of winning their immigration status. And I'm going to keep coming back to these live sessions to try and give as much information as I can possibly give. And if this is useful and if this is helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Please follow us. Please stay engaged. And I think that that's the best I can do. And what can you do? And I would assert that everybody can do something. You can do something. You can, at the very least, talk to your children. You can, at the very least, talk to the people that you love and treat people civilly and treat every, I don't know. I don't know the solution. But we got to spread love instead of hate, right? That's it. All right, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do the same episode in Spanish, and I'm going to do it in about 10 minutes. All right? I got to take a break and get some fresh air. So thank you. If you speak Spanish and if you want to join me in Spanish, I'll be back on in about 10 minutes. Hope this is useful. Hope this is helpful. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And I'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.